What's going on, folks? Ted from Nerd Immersion here, and we have some more Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft news in the form of a series of tweets from Lisa Penrose of the DMs Guild. You've seen Lisa here on the channel. We've done a couple videos together, but she got a copy of Ravenloft early, which looks to be like one of those influencer boxes that Wizards sends that usually includes one copy of the special edition, limited edition cover, and a standard copy. I'm typically, or at least recently, I've been added to that list. I don't know if I'm going to get one. You never know with these kind of things. So I might be getting one. It might just not have arrived yet because of the mail, or I might not be getting it at all, and then we'll have to wait. If I do get one, though, I'll do that standard thing where I live stream and I answer questions that you have. But let's head over to Twitter and take a look. So here you can see this looks like this may be the box it came in, possibly. I don't know if that's something she has, but here you can see this, and then there's a little bit of like the flavor thing that's included. So she went on to showcase some different things inside it. So it says tons of monsters in the table of contents. So why don't I just jump to that? That's a good start. So here's the table of contents. All right. So let's talk about what we see here. Okay. Haunted heroes. So there's 2 pages, looks like about making, heroes that are in a sort of horror-ish area. Then we have our 3 lineages, right? Dampier, Hexblood, and Reborn. I'll be curious to see if the creating your character has the +2/+1 stats or the +1 to 3. I don't believe we had that in the original UA, but we had it in stuff since then. We have Dark Gifts. We knew this was going to be something, right? Abilities kind of similar to what you find in the Amber Temple and Curse of Strahd. The 2 subclasses, the College of Spirits and the Undead Warlock. It says backgrounds. General background features, horror characteristics. Haunted one, I'm going to guess that that's just a reprint of the background found in Curse of Strahd, and Investigator being a new one. And then we have horror trinkets. Then we go on to the domains of dread, right? So we have a little bit in the beginning about how to create a Dark Lord and how to create a domain of dread for yourself. We have the different genres of horror, right? Body horror, cosmic horror, dark fantasy, folk, and so on. We talked about this in the previous video I made. And then we move on to the domains themselves, right? So we have the nature of Ravenloft, the mists, magic and metaphysics, and the life in the domains of dread, right? It's generic overrule stuff. And then we have the featured domains that we'll talk about here, facing the Dark Lords, and then characteristics. So we're kind of going to get an idea of who the sort of big bad is of each one, right? Because then it's also going to have a section on adventures in X. So if we go to Barovia, we know it's Strahd von Zarovich. Now if we go to Bluetspur, I don't know, it's probably sounds German. We've got the God Brain, I think, and again, this is from a phone camera, so we'll just take it with a grain of salt if we can't read something. So it says Borka, I think. We have Ivana Boritsi and Ivan Delisnia. These names sound familiar. I feel like I know them in some aspect, either from Curse of Strahd or from the Dice Camera Action playthrough. I mean, Delisnia makes sense to me. I know that name. We have the Carnival, and we have Isolde and Nepenthe, I guess. Darkon, and we have the Inheritors of Darkon. Dementlu, and we have Saedra, I guess that's Dolnair. My French is a little rusty. Fakovnia and Vladeska Drakov. I guess is this a new domain? Or is this, it's hard to see because we're at the top of the page. Harkir. Okay, so this must be, I'm going to guess it's an ectopod, so I don't know these, but anyway, I don't need to read through all of these, but you get the point. We can see all the domains, right? And then it says, so these are all the main ones, and then down at the bottom here we have other domains of dread. So these, I guess, don't have as much information on them. It looks like they're about like a one, actually, look at this, these 3 here are all 1 page on the same page, so these must just have like high level. Here's a little blip about it. Moving on, then we have a section about Travelers in the Mist, right? We have the Keepers of the Feather. I think that's there's something to do with the Raven Queen. We have the Vistani, and we have Mist Wanderers, right? These, I guess, are, I'm guessing these are kind of like the main character, or like the main people that'll be wandering around. We have Van Richten here. It says Ez Devanir. I'm guessing that's Esmeralda, maybe? Or no, here's Rudolph Van Richten. That's the Van Richten we know. This is Erasmus Van Richten, must be a relative in some way. The Weather May Foxgrove twins. I feel like I remember them from something too. Okay. And then we have horror adventures, right? So this is about running in a horror situation. And we have the Taraka Deck and the Spirit Board. I believe the Spirit Board is essentially a D&D Ouija board. We have Horror Toolkit, Curses, Fear and Stress, Haunted Traps, Survivors, and then the House of Lament, I think, is the actual adventure included in the book. That looks to be about 20 pages, so that tracks. And then if we scroll down, we have the Monsters of Ravenloft, so this is sort of the bestiary, right? We can see Body Taker Plant, Boneless, Brain in a Jar, Carrion Stalker, Carrionette, Death's Head, Dullahan, Gallows Speaker, Grimishka, Yangshi, Loop Guru, or Lugaru. I know these names from other things. Like, I know that's like a Cajun, I think it's like a Cajun werewolf, I want to say. This one here. Necrocor, Nosferatu, Priests of Asibis, Relentless Killer, Starspawn, Emissary. So some of these I'm recognizing, right? Starspawn, Emissary. I feel like those were in the, I want to say Eberron? The Starspawn were in that? I don't know. Sturgoy, Swarms of Maggots and Scarabs, Olmist Inquisitors, Unspeakable Horror, Vampiric Mind Flayer, very cool, Were Ravens, which we've seen before, and Zombies. So we have a swarm of zombie limbs, zombie clot, and a zombie plague speaker. And then we can see appendix here, spirit board. Now, I don't know if the table of contents is 2 pages, because as it stands reading this, I don't see new magic items, which could be a bummer, unless they're included in the adventure. So now that we've seen that, let's take a look at some of the other questions folks have asked. So this is the Boneless, which literally this looks like a creature without any bones, which is kind of terrifying. Okay, so we have a little bit of a close-up. Here is, again, the monsters, if we wanted to just get a close-up to try to read those a little bit better. And I'll have a link to at least some of these, or at least to Lisa's Twitter if you want to go check them out. So someone mentioned, you know, what do we have? So we have some adventures here. And I guess it's Demenlu? I don't know. Scrolling up, we have someone said, what about, how's Aslan? And then we have Aslan Rex, King of Darkon, vanished during the hour of ascension. Since then, an unmoving golden star called the King's Tear hangs in the sky. The sun and moon pass behind the star daily. Again, oh, it does not. So there's no more, again, if the table of contents is a second page, we can't tell. But again, when things are uploaded to D&D Beyond and released completely, we'll be able to see if there are any new magic items. They may be, again, included in box texts. So this one says, my favorite very problematic domain Lemordia is now ruled by Victra Mordenheim, similar to the changes in AL where Elise was also a doctor and a Dark Lord. Note each domain includes this useful info at the top. The domain of Snow and Stitch Flesh, the Dark Lord, Victra Mordenheim, genres body horror and gothic horror, hallmarks, immoral science, bizarre constructs, frigid wilderness, mutagenic radiation, mist talismans. Oh, see, here's talismans, right? Animate finger, glowing minerals, preserved limb. I don't know what a mist talisman is, or how that is related, but it looks like each domain has this kind of little blip for you to give you some background info on it. We'll scroll up. We just talked about Lemordia. She says this is her favorite spoiler from Lemordia, shaped like a fiend. The brain of Baron Rudolf van Albrecher constructs a new body. Oh, that's actually pretty cool. It looks like this is some sort of gear crank. Very neat. Reborn Domains of Dread here. In creating a Reborn, consult with your DM to see if it's appropriate to tie your origins into one of the following domains. You died and endured the burial rites of the desert realm, yet somehow a soul, yours or another's, has taken refuge in your perfectly preserved remains. So this is very much seems like the Egyptian mummy-based one. You awoke amid the bizarre experiments. So this is kind of your Frankenstein one, Lemordia. And Mordant, you emerge from a mysterious device known as the apparatus, your body a lifeless shell, and your past a mystery. So I don't really know if that ties to anything specific. Oh, this is zombies. This must be the swarm of zombie limbs, I'm going to guess. Because that's terrifying. That is literally like a zombie construct made of zombies, which is terrifying. Okay, one dark gift teaser. Shadow quirk. My shadow often holds weapons or bears wounds that don't exist. When I'm distracted, my shadow panics and tries to get other people's attentions as if it's desperate to escape me. When it's not being watched, my shadow makes threatening gestures or creeps towards people. My shadow's movements mirror mine incorrectly. When I raise my left hand, my shadow raises its right, or moves its right. My shadow fiddles with or occasionally breaks tiny non-magical objects, or there's a slight but noticeable delay between my movements and those of my shadow. And then it looks like there's more here. So Grasping Shadow. You learn the Mage Hand cantrip if you don't already know it. Require no components. The hand created by the spell is shadowy, but is not bound to your actual shadow. Your spellcasting ability is intelligence, wisdom, or charisma. You choose. Shadow Strike. When you make a melee attack roll, you can increase your reach for that attack by 10 feet. Your shadow stretches and delivers the attack as if it were you. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus times per long rest. Or last one here is Ominous Will. Immediately after you make an attack roll, an ability check, or a saving throw, and roll a 1 on the d20, your shadow exerts a will of its own and might assist or hinder those around you or those around you. The next time you or a creature within 30 feet of you I can see makes an attack roll, an ability check, or saving throw, roll a d4. If the number is odd, reduce the total by the number rolled. If the number is even, increase the total by the number rolled. Once the effect occurs, it can't happen again until you finish a short or long rest. So it's whenever, it says after you make an attack roll, ability check, or saving throw and roll a 1, it can then choose to exert it. So then it's the next, so you have to roll a 1. And then the next time any creature within 30 feet of you makes an attack roll, ability check, or saving throw, you roll a d4. If the number is odd, the number is reduced by whatever the total is, so either 1 or 3. Or if it's even, the number is increased by either 2 or 4. So that's tricky because it could be a benefit to you by being a detriment to the enemy, or a benefit to you by being a boon to your ally by increasing it by 2 or 4, but it also could increase the enemy's attack roll by 2 or 4. That seems like I don't know how these are worked out, but like these two seem useful, right? Grasping Shadow and Shadow Strike, those are useful. Ominous Will seems not. Now, perhaps you get all 3, right? Maybe you get all 3. Right, Grasping Shadow is an always-on ability, the ability to cast Mage Hand. Shadow Strike is one that you can use, but only a limited time. And then Ominous Will is sort of, you don't really get a choice in when you can use it. It just kind of happens. And maybe you get all 3, which could be an interesting choice to give you multiple options. Or perhaps you choose 1. Oh, can I change my answer? Yeah, oh yeah, here it is. The Bagman, right? We talked about the Bagman. It says, in Ravenloft tales like the treasure-haunting Bagman come to terrifying life. Now, we mentioned the Bagman in the last video. This is in color, but look, it looks like it tore open the side of the bag of holding, which is interesting, because a lot of you brought up, does it ping as, like, if you use Detect Good and Evil or something like that, do you see what it is? If it's an aberration or something like that, can you tell? Or is it true, is it living in the bag? Is it living in the space? If I turn my bag of holding inside out, does the Bagman fall out? I don't know. This kind of makes it a little confusing. I'm not sure. And I think that is the last, that is the last of the new news. So again, folks, we got a little bit more. We are less than 20 days away from the official release of Van Richten's guide, which means probably within the month following, we'll get some news about whatever the summer adventure is, probably sometime in June. We'll hear what the big summer adventure that they're going to kick off is. But yeah, if I happen to get a copy early, which I'm hopeful, right, I did manage to get early copies of Tasha's Cauldron of Everything and Candlekeep Mysteries, which I so graciously gave away, most of those, and then some additional copies on top of that to all of you to help for, supporting the channel, which I do appreciate. So if I manage to score early copies of Van Richten's guide, I'll do what I did in those other instances, right, where I will host a live stream on my YouTube channel for several hours, and I will just take questions and answer them as best as I can by flipping through the book. And then eventually, when it officially launches on D&D Beyond, I will go ahead and go forward and make the coverage that you're used to me making, where I talk about everything that's new and stuff like that. So a big thank you to Lisa for posting things. I had one, I would have posted stuff, but I'm always a little wary about, unless, I guess it doesn't come with an NDA more often than not. It just gives you the information and you can do with it what you will. So anyway, I really, really like the stuff that I'm seeing so far. Like I said, my only potential trepidation is whether or not we have magic items, because it seems like it would be a truly lost opportunity to not include some kind of Ravenloft unique or, magic items or multiple magic items. We got a very few interesting magic items like the Taraka Deck, right, and even not even the full extent of the Taraka Deck in Curse of Strahd. So we got the Spirit board now, which again looks to be some sort of advanced Ouija board type thing in a similar aspect to the Taraka Deck. and we get the full kind of stats for the Taraka deck and Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. But I am hopeful that we'll see some new Magic items, whether they're interspersed or not. And I'll do my best to figure that out and cover those as well. So thank you all so much for watching. Stay tuned for more news and information as soon as it comes out here on Nerd Immersion. And I'll see you next time.